What's the force behind the path of the beast? How is it linked to something beyond the stars? What ties it back to before the demons fell into hell, to before Adam and Eve, but also ties it to the beast in the Bible? Let's discuss these ideas. So, welcome back to the trenches, and let's begin. We have a number of things within the law that seem to have a history linked to hell, but were around before God cast the demons there. We have the hunters of the left-handed path, who worship things from legend and answer the call of the forces of the seven-headed serpent when they feel like turning up. We have the Church of Metamorphosis, who communicate with something through a portal that was found in hell by an angel that fell there. And now we have the path of the beast, which seems to link both to the fallen beings of hell, whilst also being around before them. Let's look to those Lovecraftian star god links within the latest Path of the Beast lore drop. Before the gates opened, the path was as follows. It was kept alive in the memory of those ancient ways and in the revelations that had prophesied the return of the beast from both land and the sea. Long did the memory of the dark cult lie dormant at the edges of nightmares, slumbering in sleepless sleep, kept alive only in eroded idols, brought from beyond the stars that dimmed aeons ago. The next reference is when we are told that horned priests guide them, the followers of the beast, that is, for clarification. Acumen for the mastery of tactics and strategies has given rise to disturbing rumours that another race, much like man, but of deeper and subtler wisdom, once roamed the earth before Adam and Eve were banished from the garden, and priests claim that they have walked the path of the beast beyond the veil where creation began, and discovered the wisdom and glory denied to mortals who are doomed to grovel and pray to an uncaring God. Let's go over a few bits there. Idols from beyond the stars, another race once walking the earth before Adam and Eve, and how these horned priests claim at least to have walked beyond the veil and found wisdom. What sort of wisdom you get if you're a follower of the path of the beast, I wouldn't like to think too much about, to be honest with you. All those elements to me scream some Lovecraftian-like creature, and I like to make my opinion clear here, not something literally brought over from Lovecraft, though I theorised about things like that previously, but a presence, an ancient something that gives continued rise to the beast as time moves on, i.e. an ancient one, a star god, whatever you'd like to call it, in the style of Lovecraft, but with a trench crusade twist. It wouldn't even have to be tucked away somewhere we would see, but a presence that rises and falls and always exists. As long as the beast exists, the path lives. In other words, you see its influence, but not the thing itself. That's my interpretation on all that lore. We also have the mention of the idols, which is a common way for the ancient beings within Lovecraft's work to be contacted or prayed to, if that's the right term. They're usually some smaller carving of the thing they worship, from the Call of Cthulhu, for example. Then, whispered Castro, those first men formed the cult around tall idols, which the great ones shewed them, idols brought in dim errors from dark stars. Could the mention of another race before humans be a reference to the Shoggoths, who we have passing mention of? Perhaps it's just a descriptive passage, but they were mentioned anyway within the trench lore. A Shoggoth being a shapeshifter, they were made by elder things to make cities for their masters, but developed their own intelligence over time. Maybe something like that, but with beasts. Now they call humans to join their ranks, but could they once have been something like them? And then we have the bestial runes. These runes react to each other, bringing forth great and terrible hidden powers within them. Could they tap into some ancient bestial language, something this star god speaks as much as it can from any words? Well, maybe, but it doesn't put them beyond also being powered by goetic magic. But the interesting part is there are also references to the beasts from the Bible in Revelations within the mention of the beast of the sea and the beast of the earth. And it awakens when the gate to hell opens in Jerusalem, so there is some tie there. So how could a beast around before the Bible be in the Bible, or at least the Revelations part? I think that's pretty straightforward. I think it was around before the demons fell. It could have some link or become part of their mythology, as if it's a hidden influence that is within the minds of people due to the old mythology that's existed for a long time. and how that's within the minds of people, so it becomes part of the Bible in that way, something like that. It becomes part of the Christian mythology as it already exists, is the brief way to put that, to put a point on it. This would come through within the mention of the ancient half-animal things in the ages, when men prostrated themselves before craven images. They trembled before the beast. From the goat-herded Fomorians of Ira and the werewolves of Livonia to the Rakshasa of India, the darkest tales of mankind tell of half-beasts with an unnatural craving for human flesh. Another thought, could these half-animal things, before combining with humanity, so holy and becoming part werewolf beasts, be just a whole werewolf with no human part, something stronger? Could they maybe the ones the horned priests speak about? We can only speculate based on what we know, but I thought I'd mention that. So, what do you think to this Star God video, and how some type of old one in the style of Trench Crusade, some ancient beast, might tie into the Trench Crusade lore? Would you like that, or would you prefer it goes unexplained? Either is good with me. I'm not personally tied to these discussions, but I have my opinions, of course. How do you feel about the runes and the changes they might bring to the followers of the path? How would that work in a gaming world? Do you think it could all be powered by goetic magic? The magic of suffering the followers of the court of the seven-headed serpent use? Or would you prefer something else, something older? Can you see any tie in between the types of beings mentioned that tie into the darkest myths mentioned and the wider trench lore, which seems to be developing spirits such as jinn, and maybe more folklore being put in there? I'm currently developing a video to add that to the conversation, something like how can all the lore exist in the same world and be given its due, i.e. not all being just the court of the seven-headed serpent behind everything pulling the strings, but for some of their own beliefs to be true. And an update, I've written half that script now, so yeah, should be on the way soon. And if you like this video on the Trench Crusade, then why not try this one? And if you ever want a number of videos on Trench Crusade, then why not check out the playlist on the channel? I also cover 40k and have about, usually that's a 3-week out, at best and at worst one on a Saturday. There are 2 playlists for that on the channel. One has everything and is well into the hundreds at this point. The other focuses on a favourite period of time within 40k lore of mine called the Dark Age of Technology. AIs, ships run by them, guns that can shoot black holes, and yes, I know that's a simplification of the Esperanza's gun, but it's a quick way to say it. Historically, and to return one day, I did a load of Dune videos, which also has its own playlist on the channel. There's also a playlist for The Expanse, books and TV series, which I was a big fan of, most of the books after I got into the series, and a short playlist for the Sun Eater series by Christopher Rocchio and Red Rising by Pierce Brown. And that's the end of this video.